Hey guys and girls, Bored now back with you. On this video I will be reviewing The Idol episode 2. It is called Double Fantasy. Full spoilers from the start of this review. So if there was any doubt from last week's episode, which I was mixed on, I wasn't as down on it as some people were online, but there was definitely plenty of warning signs about how much of an ego trip this series could end up being, how much of a sexist worldview it could represent, and just how dull it is, frankly. And all that stuff is confirmed in this episode. This is a really plodding, tedious to watch episode where you really don't care about anyone in it, and the worst aspects of last week's episode are just turned up to 11 in this one. So at the start of the episode, Jocelyn has been inspired by her weird, creepy meeting with the Weekend character Tudus in the previous episode, and she thinks she's got her new sound. She plays the recording to her talent crew, so Nikki's there, a bunch of other people, the Francozona characters there, and so she just plays the song but now with added breathing. And even though Nikki's a terrible person, I'm kind of rolling my eyes with her, and they're having this back and forth, and Nikki saying, I'm the one who actually supported you last year when you were having a mental breakdown. I'm the one who suggested not actually going on tour. She's getting very self-righteous. She's saying, I said, let's refund everyone. And she's making the case, and this new sound isn't commercial, whereas everybody else around Jocelyn is in a way paying lip service to her, like saying, no, this sounds great, let's go. That's the impression of the scene, or the impression that's trying to get over. Now here's the problem with the scene. First of all, the sound that Jocelyn is going for in the song and all the heavy breathing, I'm guessing it's probably meant to be a pastiche to like classic sexy disco like Donna Summer that's referenced in like episode 1. So that's probably intentional, then it's actually not that fresh or new. Then I think in their minds they're going for a mix of like old and new, but the general sound of the song does sound dated anyway. Like, it sounds like it's a song from about 10 years old now. It doesn't really sound like a fresh, hip, happening song. So that's a problem to start off with. And the breathing is just laughable. I mean, I'm with Nikki there. But the trouble is, this is a very shallow episode with very shallow characters. And although there's some sympathy because of what Jocelyn's been through, her herself is constantly acting up, and there's just a sense of this entitlement from her, or certainly the episode doesn't make her likeable enough. Like, it never really goes far with it, or far enough. And I think this is the trouble. Like, there could be an argument where Nikki's actually looking out for her, or like she's the only one like speaking any sense, but because she's so unlikable as well, it's hard to really get on that train, and they don't really give you enough depth or character to Jocelyn for you to really care about her. And I think this episode and this show is doing it by halves, where it's trying to present itself as like a satire of like these shallow characters or their lives or modern sexuality, but it's really not doing enough with it, because it's like the Tudus guy, probably because The Weeknd is like producing it and co-created it, and this is the episode that confirms what an ego trip it is for him. Then it just doesn't make him a big enough arsehole, or it just doesn't expose his character that much. He's just kind of a bit vaguely weird and creepy, and just once again has all this lip service played to him through the character, and it's just very cringe and toe curling. And throughout the episode, there's bits that are meant to be edgy and satirical, but they're just not. They're pretty old hat at this point, and there's some cliche dialogue. There's some cliche scenes, like just lazy plot developments, because it turns out Jocelyn can't get hold of Tudus throughout the day because she's really upset after this meeting with Nikki and the rest, and she just wants to talk to him. Once again, that's a massive ego trip. It's like, would she really be that desperate after one or two meeting? Like, I'm sure she can go a day without talking to him, but she seems to want to, and he gives her some bullshit lie about, I'm working in the club, whereas you see him surrounded by his people and her best friend, who happens to be talking to Isaac on the other line, so she's talking to him at the same time. Got that cliche. Tudus and the rest of his crew are just so predictable and so bland, because there's a thing with Diane, who's the Asian singer-dancer from last week, who has caught the eye in this music video. They're recording the music video. And I will say, once again, Lily Rose Depp is giving her it all in the scene. It's just she's not really given that much interesting to do, but she has this nervous breakdown, and she's getting all wired and frustrated at the different takes, because at one point, like, the take is out of focus, and you get all this with the backroom staff. But this is what I mean, where they're trying to have this running commentary on modern issues, and it's just not that clever, because at one point Nikki is debating if the dancers are too gay, so they have this discussion with her and one of Jocelyn's crew about how, like, the guys are more feminine than her, and it's just not that clever or witty, or that original, not as witty or edgy as it thinks it is. But you get this thing with Diane when, like, Nikki lies to Jocelyn because it says, why don't you go home and we can do it tomorrow, and then she's actually, like, positioning her to be replaced by Diane. And wouldn't you just know it, but Diane is one of Tudus's girls as well, because you see her later on with him, and you just have this weird cult-like group, including Diane and this girl called Chloe as well. Just a boring character. Like, you cannot see why anyone would be drawn to him. Like, later on, when Isaac is talking to the friend, he's saying things like, well, he actually goes to church, and so they're trying to push this angle of him being almost like an extreme religious leader, maybe. But based on what we've seen in the show so far, they're probably not going to do anything that interesting with it. But Diane is offered, like, a deal from Nikki. Isaac hooks up with her friend, and you've got more, like, sexy type scenes, although they're not that sexy, between Tudus and Joshua. This girl Chloe, where she seems really jealous watching them get it on from a distance and seems to be turned down. But then later on she starts playing on the piano, and this is obviously going to give Jocelyn inspiration, like, for a song, and that's kind of the end of the episode, with them all coming together and singing. And yeah, it's really lame. It's really cheesy and lame, this episode. So that's the latest episode of The Idol, and so far I think it really deserves the trashing that it's getting. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. Share me out on social media, and I'll see you guys again soon.